Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for Truth show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. It's always a pleasure to be back with you. And tonight we're going to share something that actually the Surgeon General spoke about. It's called humanity. And what did he say is he said that our interaction with each other causes a special energy that scientifically is proven causes physical health, and that the lack of our interaction is like smoking 15 cigarettes a day and causes premature death. And tonight's show is about a friend of mine who I met before the United Nations event we had May 16th, and a man with a tradition in his family of this special energy, the special, what's called affinity and warmth. And we're going to start immediately into the show. So Buddha, if you can put his pictures up on the screen, we'll introduce Roman Kaykov, the president of Kaykov Media, director of photography and senior producer at Kaykov TV, exemplifying his family's long-standing dedication to the craft of media arts. His journey began unbelievably at the age of 6 with his first camera, and continued at 12 years of age working alongside his father, the esteemed photographer and videographer Grigory Kaykov. He's committed to elevating his expertise, and so Roman pursued further education at the prestigious New York University and St. John's University film schools. And while earning his degrees, he joined the camera crews of several independent and mainstream films with credits including Mickey Blue Eyes, Funny Valentine, and the documentary Takiskan in Our Heart. Those experiences equipped him with more ideas and incentive and creative and technical skills, enabling him to contribute to a wider range of independent and mainstream film projects. And under his leadership, Kaykov TV continues to thrive, with Roman's vision and professionalism driving the company's growth and innovation within the industry. The company now offers all contemporary mediums of advertising, promotion, broadcast TV, production, web publicity, and a corporate philosophy that integrates high creative pursuit, prevailing technology, and faithfulness and integrity to the highest standards of quality. His media and TV company is the leading media arts firm in the New York area, and he's a zealous supporter of the goals and ambitions of his patrons, and really his community, and more than that, humanity. Alongside his brother Boris, Their extensive focus, knowledge, and skill have elevated Kaykov Enterprises to the cutting edge of today's market. And we're very lucky to have with us today Roman Kaykov. And Buddha, if you will, let's bring him up live on the Time for Truth show.
Thank you, Dr. Fialkoff.
Shalom.
Thank you for inviting me to your show. I'm very grateful to have met you through Dr. Kessin, who is also, a family. And he called me once. He was like, listen, a friend of mine who's also a doctor is looking for a rabbi for this United Nations event. So I didn't know how serious that is or would be. So I was like, all right, have him contact me or give me his number and I'll contact him. And then I guess, we started talking, and then we introduced to each other, and then I introduced you to the rabbi, actually my rabbi, who married me and my wife.
Yeshua.
Yes, Rabbi Yeshua. He's a great spiritual leader.
Wonderful man.
Yes, very...
A real, what I call a real rabbi.
A true scholar. He knows, he feels a lot of... he feels you, when he sees you, he could practically, read your mind. And that is very important. But nevertheless, I'm again grateful to you for inviting me to your podcast. And I guess we shall do wonderful things together.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, Dr. Kessin is a friend of mine in the dental profession that I practice. I'm a periodontal and implant surgeon for 44 years. I've known Vladimir for a long time. In fact, on the show, we got to call you up, Vladimir. You have to come here to help preserve this great country, because he and I have a lot in common. I was from Cuba, lost my country to communism. He's from Russia,
yes,
lost his country to communism. And so he and I have spoken about that, and that we wanted to really educate, which is the purpose of this show, which is why I wanted to have you.
Thank you.
And no, it's my pleasure, because I see who you are just the first time I met you. And you put me together with Rabbi Yeshua, who's a great, great rabbi. And I want to ask you a question. When you were young, what were your dreams?
Honestly, my dream was always to get into a human brain and get those either, pictures or memories and put them to like a, put them on the screen, just like that, because I was always interested in robotical. I had my own, like a construction game. I, used to put like cars together. I built my first remote car when I was 7 or 8 years old. I was fascinated with that. So when I saw, my father in his Red Room laboratory, for me, my father was not only a genius, but like a magician. He was able to put he was brought these old pictures, either, half a face is not there, or an eye is not there, or, people without, let's say, a suit or a tie. So he would ask a client, what is it that you want to do? It's can you put a hat on him? Can you put a tie? Can you put a bow tie? Can you put anything? So I don't know, in the dark room, he used to put all these things together. Once he put that, the photo paper, and the developer, boom, you could see all those things come alive with from the picture that never had all those things before. I was like, wow, that's magic. And then, he used to give it to his fellow artists to put paint and make it look like a professional photo portrait, and people were fascinated. And he was one of the leading photo lab portrait professionals in our city.
He was Photoshopped 90 years ahead of time.
Definitely. Listen, nowadays people cannot do these on these things on Photoshop, but he used to do it on hand in the dark room. I'm telling you.
It's unbelievable, because when you think of the intricacy, definitely, and to make this actually coordinate, as you were talking to me, I said, how did he do that? Actually,
he is one of 8 kids, because my grandfather, who started the whole business, he embedded this profession into one of each child. So yeah, they had 4 boys, 4 girls. So the boys would photograph, develop, and all these things. My father was like, actually, my father was self-taught. Everybody else had a tutor. My father was very, intuitive. He was, he looked at what everybody was doing, and he got his own, kind of thing. He had his own techniques that nobody had, that I've never seen. Like, let's say, I don't know, my uncles or his friends. And also, he actually wanted to go into film industry. He got his first camera. He went to our there was this film, like a huge film studio in Uzbekistan. So he was there for like 2 years, but then he didn't want to leave his parents, because in order to go and get a degree, you had to go to Moscow. And he was very attached to his parents, to his brothers and sisters. He's like, you know what, forget about it. Honestly, I practically don't remember my father working as much as I do today. He probably would work like, I don't know, a week from a month. And we would go like, I don't know, on vacations. He was very adventurous. We would go, I don't know, to Yalta, Crimea, Lushta, every like half a year to a year.
He loved to travel.
Yeah, everywhere. Or if he would not like take the family, he would go somewhere by himself, but it was like a business trip, and he would never come empty-handed. Not only for like my mom or us, he would think about every member of his extended family, his parents, his brother, his sisters, always. Or he would like call them, like I'm at a specific store, or it was hard to get stuff back in those days. There was a deficit of a lot of things.
Sure.
So if he would see it and he knew that somebody needed it, he would get it, and not only brought it, but he would never take money for it.
He would just get it for them to help.
That's it. That's the type of person. He was a very like open-hearted person.
Very altruistic.
Very.
Quite a man.
Extremely. So I guess me and my brother and my sister, got that just from him, because growing up, you always see, and your parents are your role models, like, and honestly, when we came here, he was one of the leaders in the community. My mom never ever asked him where you were, when you coming back, why you late,
right?
Ever.
Total trust.
Like the biggest supporter,
right?
Like, or even if me and him went anywhere, he would prepare like she would prepare us breakfast. It would be early in the morning. She would prepare us lunch for later. Like a huge support, and that showed me, how much a woman would play.
Oh yeah.
In a man's life.
Total. She creates him. She creates the family.
Definitely.
She's the crucible of the civilization, really.
100%.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of the problem we're having in our world, and I think it's okay for women to work, but women already were working. I think it was really a misnomer or a tragedy that somebody decided to call them housewives, because they created not only the family, but the community, and without them, there'd be nothing. So I actually think that women, just what they do with the family,
yes.
Such a tremendous work. I was with my kids only one time for about 3 hours one day when they were little, and I took them to Chuck E. Cheese. And after about 3 hours, I was going psychotic. I couldn't wait to get back to the house. to put them
hand them to your wife.
Hand it over to my wife, and and just I realized, I go, wow, it's unbelievable how a woman can be there with them
100%.
all day long, and sometimes they have no break, and the husband comes home late at night, and then he has to go away in the morning, and she's with them again. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, so what was your mother's name?
My mom's name is Asya, but her Jewish name is Osnat. It's actually directly from the Torah, from the Bible. Yeah, and honestly, she was not as of a housewife. She has a medical degree. She's a medical nurse. She used to work in a daycare.
Yeah.
But then when we were born, my father was like, you know what? I think you should cut down on work maybe do like a part-time, or if you could stay home, take care of the kids, and then when the right time comes, you might want to go back. And actually, she worked next to home, and then once we went to daycare, she would go to work as well. So everything was like
Totally coordinated.
everything correct.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
So your parents were very closely knit.
yeah, definitely.
Is, you know what? I can see how great a relationship they had. One of the purposes of the show is really to give valuable information. What would you say would be what came out of that relationship that you saw that would help us in this world today?
What I saw is, I think, great respect to one another, great respect to family, great respect to people outside. No matter which religion or confession. I mean, like back in my country, we used to live next to Uzbeks, who are like Muslims. There were a lot of Russians. There were a lot of Greeks. There were a lot of Germans. I mean, like it was pretty much an international.
Multi-part.
Exactly. I mean, not like here in Queens where you hear almost 215 languages.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, like we were. See, the thing is, a lot of people say, "Oh, you ran away." No, what happens is we did not run away from those people. We ran away from the regime, from the communist regime that did not let us practice or pursue, being Jewish. Like, let's say my father's cousin, when he was circumcised, his father was not able or available to be there, because if he would be there, he would be arrested.
Wow.
Yeah, and a lot of these stories, like our studio produced over 275 documentaries, both about famous and not so famous, or maybe not famous at all, people of the community. There were people like doctors, lawyers, judges. Actually, one of the attorneys was actually coming up with laws for the Uzbekistan where we live. He was a highly public figure in Uzbekistan.
Mm-hmm.
He actually passed away here in New York. Yeah.
It's very important because our world is really suffering. The Pew Research Center has shown that about 3/4, 75% of the population in the world suffers under regimes like you talked about.
Definitely.
Where they don't have the ability to have their philosophy, to have the belief system. And, really, if you look at just in a family, to make a joke out of this, even in a family, each person has their own philosophy.
100%.
You may be Catholic, Hindu, Buddhist, Protestant, Muslim, but each one will have their own philosophy. And within that family, you'll have some fights. And actually, within families, the fights can be very harsh because there's so much love. They say there's a saying, when there's a lot of love, there can be a lot of hate. And you have to learn to get through the hates, because then the love grows more. But you have to, as a group, be strong enough to go through that.
Well, as long as those arguments are peaceful.
That's right. But they can get really heated. And it's just, I've spoken to friends. And he goes, the other day with my wife, we were going to kill each other. Because we love each other so much, but we went through it. And now we're at a higher plateau. Because I told her, I was stupid with what I said. And she said, well, you know what? I shouldn't have done this too. And each one reflected. And we got higher. So, makes a lot of sense. And you know what? I really believe in acknowledging. So as part of the show, before we continue, as a tribute to your family,
Thank you.
so your father's name, how do I say it properly?
Grigory. Grigory Gabriel, yes.
Okay.
Like Gabriel,
All right. And your mom?
And Oznat. And the picture that you showed before was not my father, it was my grandfather.
That was your grandfather?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, my grandfather, Michael, he is my also one of my mentors. He passed away here, almost 90 years old. He taught me a lot of wisdom.
Tell me.
Because he had also a big family, and he was one of the oldest brothers. So four 4 brothers went to World War II, and only he survived coming back. And
was he in a camp or?
well, going to war, he obtained another profession, which was a medical degree.
Yes.
He became a male nurse.
Okay.
During World War II, yes, there was a I think it was in Ashgabat in Turkmenistan. Yeah, they had another chain. Yeah, so a lot of
what's in Ashgabat, by the way?
in Ashgabat there was this medical school.
The medical school.
Yes, specifically for for people that would go into war and take care of the soldiers.
Like
and stuff
medics,
like that.
like
Yes.
here in the United States, called medics.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So he came back, the only brother, and then he had other brothers. I mean, like they were younger than him, and he actually taught them the the skill of photography. He brought a lot of equipment from from World War II. Those German made cameras.
Wittenauer.
Yes. Lenses.
Yes.
I think he, as my grandmother joked always, he also brought 2 brand spanking new pianos, one of which he gave it to her because when he came to Tashkent, he was actually on a train.
Yes.
Driving by. He saw her, fell in love with her. So he gave one of those pianos to her as a gift.
Before he didn't even know her.
Yes.
He didn't even know her.
Yeah. What happens is she lost her husband during World War II, and she got left with a child because they only lived for 40 days. Can you believe that? She got pregnant and she had a child. So a lot of people were coming, to get married to her, but her father was, very strict. He said, the way I look at young guys, if they know, if they eat well, that means they work as well. And my grandfather was one of those people. There were a lot of people that came to her. So when my grandfather came to to propose, to be engaged
to her,
yes, so that little girl was already 5 years old. She sat on his lap and she said, "Papa." Magical, right? And everybody totally from that point on knew that he was going to be
this was the man.
Yes. And then they had 6 more kids, so a total of 8 children.
What an amazing story.
Yes.
It's amazing how, life does these, what appears to be coincidences.
And he's also my godfather. So what happens is I got married, and about 3 or 4, my dream was always to get married while both my grandparents are alive, because they always said, it's our dream, it's our blessing to see your wedding. And it was, I don't know, for me it was very important. So when I got married, 3 or 4 months after my wedding, my grandfather passed away.
I'm sorry.
So that same week that he passed away, my wife got pregnant. But now I don't know if it's going to be a boy or a girl. So I told my wife, if it's going to be a boy, I would like to name him with my grandson, because he lived up to 90. And I look at my son now, such a resemblance, the way he talks, the way he's straightforward, the way he thinks.
Very similar to your grandfather.
100%. Now my son's godfather is my father. You know how it goes from, yeah. So that's what it is. And he's like, listen, you named me with your grandfather's name. He had a medical degree, and he's now going to college to study for neurosurgery.
It's amazing, because I'll share with something that's a little bit out there, but since we're talking about humanity and feelings, and I've always wondered, I've said to myself, how is it that certain families, it seems like there's a continuance. Some people would say, well, because they're educated that way. But then there's certain conduct, certain outlook that each individual carries with them that you don't really train, because when you try to, it doesn't work.
100%.
It has to be inborn. And, it's very interesting to me, because one of the other things that we had a show with a very famous long-distance runner tonight, And you know, he was going into that a lot, and how he felt there's certain things that have occurred in his life that seemed to occur for a reason, and that they weren't just happenstance, and that you know, that he's seen as time has gone on and why he does. So you know, this leads me to your company, which I understand now as I speak to you more why it's so successful. So tell us a little bit about, you know, your group, your media, your television.
Well, Kaykov Media was established here already in the United States, practically in New York City, by my father in 1991. So, you know, me as an oldest son, I was always there with him on, you know, every community event, every, you know, family event. I was always, you know, helping him around. And my brother, who happened to be almost 7 years younger than me, was kind of, you know, looking from the side. Should I help him? Should I not? Should I be there? Should I not? So actually my father always told me, you know, I think you have a skill of becoming a surgeon. Why don't you try? Or you should go and, you know, become an attorney. But I was like, Pops, you know, I could, but, you know, as they say, if there's something in your DNA, it's already embedded, like, you know, stamped. Why would you go furthermore? You know, this is hard because, you know, back then, you know, we used to like handle all those
Huge cameras.
huge, old, heavy cameras.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to go, you know, work for different studios.
They're heavy.
They are. I mean, it's not like nowadays, you know, you
No,
take a
no,
DSLR
no.
or even, you know, a cell phone, and you could produce so many different things. You know, my phone now has an 8K quality. So nevertheless, you know, we started, and a lot of people, you know, from the community, you know, they have a huge respect for my father, you know, from even back in the days. Because in my country, I believe in, what was it, December of 1984, he got his hands on the first, back then, NTSC video camera that was brought by one of his friends' brother to Uzbekistan. And he was like, you know what, back then, I paid 5,000 rubles. With that money, I practically could have bought a new car. Wow. I was like, why'd you do that? Well, I was, you know, I was anxious. I was very interested. And not only that, believe it or not, I have, since I was, back then I was 6, almost 7 years old, he recorded me saying poetry in Russian. Like those long poetry, me, my sister, and then my brother was born. So yeah, there's a lot of, you know, family events. We practically brought from former Soviet Union about 120 tapes. Actually, those tapes had to go through a specific ministry place. They had to put a stamp on it because they had to check if there was like no propaganda, or we should not, you know what I'm saying?
What to use it.
Correct. Yeah, they messed up a couple of tapes, even though there was nothing on them. But thank God, you know, we were able
Most
to.
were through.
Yeah.
What's amazing, you know, I can understand now why your company has done what it's done and the feeling behind it, which, as we talk to you from the show, that I want to share with you, is that what is success? Well, as you can see with everything that Roman has been relaying to us about his family, the tradition, the assistance to humanity, the perspective, not just for ourselves, but a perspective that's broader, without being asked to, but just doing because we want to. And many times we look and we say, well, maybe there's a certain button or SEO function, or maybe we should do some kind of artificial intelligence marketing program, which is fine. But we really need to take a look, I think, and is one of the things I'd like to come out of the show, is to look at the energy that we have naturally as human beings and utilize it, and that Kaykov Media has. So really what I would say is, They have it. They produce it. The first moment I met him, I felt it, and it's something that comes across to you. You know, there's much more we have to do, but we run out of time already on the show. But I've had a great time, and if it's okay with you, we'll have you back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I can only tell you that Kaykov Media does a lot of indoor-outdoor signage. We do a lot of stuff that deals with graphic design, website. We produce films. We also have a full cyclorama green screen. We have our own soundproof podcast, which I am inviting you today. You just tell me whenever you're available.
Sounds
I
good.
would love to have you on our show.
Now, how do they contact you? If they want to contact Kaykov Media?
Oh, they could, you could go on our website, www.kaykovmedia.com. We also have Kaykov TV, which is kaykov.tv. We also have Kaykov Munchies, which is a short cooking shows that shows most of our cuisine, but also worldwide cuisine. We also have Kaykov Merch, where we sell different types of merchandise, like pens, stickers, right on the website.
Very nice.
Yes, we also have a website that shows the building of different signs, both indoor and outdoor. We also do 3D renderings for the indoor-outdoor buildings. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You should visit our studio, and definitely I'll show you around. It's like a museum sort of thing.
Imagination. Sounds like a Disney World.
Hopefully soon.
Well, it's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
And for those of you watching,
Thank you.
This was a special show. Let's implement the energy that you felt in this show. And it's never too late. Let's start a tradition, or let's continue a tradition, and let's collaboratively do it.
100%.
We hope you enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it being with you, Roman.
Thank you. Likewise.
Have a very good night, and we'll see you on the next episode of A Time for Truth show. Be well.
Thank you.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet